Hello, everybody, and welcome, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Richard Bryant from Cantian, and I'm pleased to have with me today Simon of Rocket Software. Simon's here. Hi, Simon. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, hey, Richard.
So look, Cantian's been working with Rocket and Simon, well, with Rocket for 15 years and Simon for a few years now. And one of the areas that we've been working on with Simon has been helping customers modernize their IBM applications. And specifically in the context of this presentation, modernizing the IBM green screen to provide end users with a modern GUI web experience. Now, all organizations are doing something with AI these days, and Rocket are no different. Rocket have been working with AI, haven't you, Simon, actually for some years, but this is a fairly new development, I understand, yeah?
Absolutely. Quite an exciting one, actually.
Yeah, indeed. Well, when he told me about this new functionality and briefed the team here, I think we were really intrigued to see more. So we thought we'd put together this webinar for those of you who may have seen the Rocket modern experience solution before, or the green screen to web front end migration tool before. But this is a layer on top of that. So what we're going to share with you today is exactly a little recap on what the modern experience green screen Rocket MX product is, but not going into a deep dive, but to show you really what the AI instance or the AI application use cases on this particular environment. So as a recap, given we're not doing a deep dive, why modernization? The big question for a lot of IBM sites is, do we modernize or do we migrate off platform? The modernization approach is generally accepted to be a lower risk and quicker to market route. It doesn't require all of those, in some cases, decades of legacy logic, business logic, being unraveled and redefined in another application. It's lower risk in terms of timeline, cost. You can scope some quite small areas to start with. So from many perspectives there, it's a lower risk and quicker path to a more modern user experience. And the speed is really critical as well, particularly in this day and age. So Rocket MX, I was to say, Simon will show us a little bit, won't you, Simon, today about Rocket MX. But the key take home of it is that it's a zero footprint solution for the IBM. So there can be zero or very small application changes on the IBM itself. And critically, it supports workflow automation. So we're not just looking at modernization of providing a clever front end, but also augmenting that with other data, as you'd expect to be able to do with web front end, and also support automation better to make the end user's experience more efficient and more productive, particularly in those environments where they've been switching between different screens in the course of them doing their job. There's also built-in tools there to help IT understand which processes users are using more commonly than others in the event where you wish to be able to get some data around where to prioritize modernization effort. And this tool, Rocket MX, comes or complements other tools we've got for the modernization suite there, including Rocket API, which is a low-code, no-code API generation tool, generate RESTful APIs, that really helps unlock the data on the IBM to other applications. So that's a thumbnail, quick overview, if you like, of the API solution. Whoops, go back one. But now we're adding AI to that user experience. And today, Simon's going to take us through a few example use cases around how that can be used. And of course, this may trigger ideas in your mind about how that can be used in your particular environment. And naturally, we're happy to brainstorm those with you. But a word of warning, always, when we talk about AI, the vast majority of AI initiatives fail. I think the number, Simon, from memory was around 86% globally of initiatives fail, something like that.
Absolutely, yes.
And very, very small proportion actually go through successfully, and an even smaller proportion have actually addressed some of the critical issues and critical boundaries to successful implementation. And the number one boundary that we have found has been, not just us, surveys the industry has found, data privacy and trusting transparency of the data that the AI engine is actually trained upon. So protecting things like PII data, super important. You cannot just afford to let an AI engine even locally digest everything you have, because then the question is, well, who has access to the AI engine, of course? And there are regulations there to be met, whether it's here in Australia or overseas if you're dealing with data for overseas individuals. So as a result, we're seeing very much a trend towards not only, but towards AI projects being run where the data resides rather than out there on the cloud. And this is one of the biggest boundaries to its successful implementation, which we'll touch on in this presentation as well, because that's an important factor. Time now to pass over to Simon. Simon's going to take us through a little bit on Rocket MX and some of the example use cases of the AI capabilities now that these end users can use. Simon, thank you, and over to you.
I will take over the screen, and before I run the demonstration, I'll be going through a couple of slides just to reiterate what we are talking about today. Let me share.
And let me just interject. I forgot to say, please, if you want to ask questions as we go through the presentation, drop the questions into the question icon, and we'll pick them up at the end, and we can have a live Q&A session. Sorry, Simon, back to you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. So first of all, Rocket Modern Experience Web Edition has long supported unlocking the green screen application to work with modern technologies. That includes AI, and this capability has been in the product for many years already. So what's new this year is that we have put AI at the forefront of everything, and we have included a ready-to-use, almost out-of-the-box integration with AI chatbot. So it is almost an out-of-the-box solution in that you just need to provide the API key, the API endpoint URL for the chatbot, and then optionally, you can prime the chat with some pre-context. And then the basic integration is done. It will be up and running, and no complex setup is required. So this enables a natural language chat interface directly inside your green screen application interface inside Modern Experience Web. More importantly, we have made this natural language chat LLM agnostic. It's quite multi-word. What it means is that we use the standard OpenAI style APIs. So any of the large language models today, almost all of them supports OpenAI style API. So if you choose any one of them, it should work just fine with Modern Experience Web. That also means you are not restricted to any vendor. You can even host the large language model on your premise. So the choice is all yours, and you have full control. And worth mentioning is that Rocket Mobius is supported and directly integrated into Modern Experience Web as well. So Rocket Mobius Smart Chat is a Rocket in-house AI solution centered on doing document search with natural language. So this solution ingests your document into a central server and let the user ask natural language query style questions to the documents in your own repository. So this takes the user interaction with and understanding of your green screen application logic to the next level. So what can AI do for legacy applications? I will just make a few examples here. So first of all, thanks to the natural language capabilities, you can now build Copilot style interaction with your green screens. So basically, what it means is that many green screen application would display a large amount of information, like this one you see on the screen. It may be spread across multiple different green screens. With the help of Modern Experience Web, you can already bring all those information into a single web page in Modern Experience. With the Copilot style application, so the Copilot style AI's help, you can basically imagine an AI sitting behind your shoulder, and you tell him whatever you see on the screen, and then you can ask him question. Take a look at what I see on the screen, i.e. on the web page, and then tell me, just fire off your natural language questions. The AI can do what AI does the best. Another pretty powerful use case is using AI to validate and support your work. So AI can be trained with your own data. You can put your own business logic and prime the conversation with some business rules. And then the green screen users, they usually perform pretty repetitive, error-prone tasks. And if you prime your AI with the business logic, business rules in the conversation, then AI can take a look at the screen, at what the user has entered onto the screen, and apply the rules and see if there are any irregularities, patterns, detect anomalies, and flag some risky or unusual entries from the user input. It may help the user reduce the errors. And what's best of all is that it can recommend next best actions. AI is pretty good at spotting upsell, cross-sell opportunities on the sales orders, or you can imagine if you input a pretty lengthy insurance policy onto the screen, and the AI can scan through large amount of on-screen text data very quickly and tell us if it sees any anomalies, strange behaviors, or possibly identify some potential fraud behavior in the on-screen data. Everything, all the business is in the green screens after all. So lastly, you can use AI to aid repetitive data entry. So user does lots of data entry on the green screens. The web page can help to reduce the errors, but AI does take it to the next level. Now your users are not necessarily required to do the manual work to enter data into the green screens. So usually these type of green screen input comes from emails, comes from Excel spreadsheets. So AI is pretty good at converting those natural language input into machine understandable JSON inputs. So as long as the data input is in JSON format, it's structured, and a web page can understand that. And of course, Modern Experience web pages can understand those input. And this allows us to directly enter sales orders, directly enter insurance policies, or banking entries, banking statement entries into the green screen with the help of AI. You don't have to do the manual work anymore. Of course, usually your users still have to do a final review and check if there are any errors made by the AI. But with this capability, you are looking at reducing a lot of repetitive manual work. Okay, how does everything bolt on together? So this is what we are talking about today with the integration of AI. This is a very simplified chart on what we are talking about today. So on the top right, you see the traditional method that is using a traditional terminal emulator to connect to your IBM i green screens. And this part does not have to change, nor does it have to go away. Nothing needs to be changed in your current day-to-day operations. If some user still prefers to use terminal emulator, they can continue to do so. Modern Experience sits as a bridge between your user's web browser and your IBM i server. And this does not require anything to be installed on your IBM i server because we only talk to IBM i using emulation port. And nothing needs to be installed on your end user's computer as well, because we just use standard modern web browser that supports HTML5. Safari, Chrome, Microsoft Edge, any of the, including Firefox, any of the modern web browsers will do, as long as they support HTML5. And when it comes down to AI integration, our modern experience use standard AI service port to connect to any of your flavor of AI choice. So essentially, all the AI conversation is sent via encrypted TCP/IP protocol. You connect to the API endpoint URL of a certain provider, or maybe it's an on-prem AI large language model. You just use that server's IP address. And then the communication will be standard OpenAI style API calls. So this is how it's set up, just for large language model. And then, if AI decides to interact with your green screen and trigger off some green screen workflow, we have Rocket API to help you with that. So Rocket API is a tool that converts your green screen application into standard RESTful service, standard REST callable microflows. So it communicates with IBM I using standard emulation port, and also it uses JT400 service that IBM I already provides. It's not a component you have to purchase extra. It's included in every IBM I already. So it's just standard communications with IBM I. No extra installation is required. And then Rocket API converts some lengthy or simple green screen interactions, multiple screen jumps, into microservices. And these microservices use standard RESTful interface, and they can be called by AI if the AI decides to do so, and if you allow the AI to do so. Okay, so before I jump into the demonstration, just a little bit of recap of what modern experience is. So in the very short term, this is what modern experience look like. We have a built-in emulator that is available for you to use. To build your interactions with, your modernization interaction with the IBM I. So you can log in and navigate to a certain green screen and do your modification, do your modernization. So pretty simple to use. And once your screen is built, you'll be looking at something like this. It's a web page builder, and you have a palette full of controls. You can drag in a new button, you can drag in another text box, and you can put in a label here and easily edit the content. And this thing can say Simon Says. And the button, you can do anything with the button. You can bind some input, you can bind some script, and for basic interactions, it's actually pretty simple. If I want to use this button as a back button, all I need to do is go to the action field of this editor, and I will send the F3. That's what my green screen expects for me to jump back to the previous page. And once that is done, you are looking at something like this. You log into the green screen, you navigate to the page you just customized, and you can see your buttons, you can see your labels, and you can use the back button. So simple as that. So a couple of the demo that we can show you today. So first of all, how to build the Copilot style interactions. So you log into the system, and you navigate to the page where a lot of data is displayed. So in this case, we're going into the a list of all the contracts. So with Modern Experience Web, in the background, top left corner, that is what's happening in the real time with the IBM I server. And then I'm clicking the Ask Bot. I'm sending all the information into the AI, and then the AI reads all the data, and then I can fire off my natural language questions. So tell me, who is the most frequent customer, and do you see any problems? Do you see any issues with the with this data. Of course, this is test data, so of course there's going to be issues, multiple duplicated entries, and sometimes you will see the typos, things like that. Apologies. And yeah, things like that. So the AI can very easily scan through large amount of data and tell you what problem you have spotted there. Right. So next one. So if you prime your AI with some business rules, that is going to be very helpful in identifying problems, real business problems. So it's a slightly different demo. We're going into a different demo application. In this application, we can see a more complicated order entries. So you can see this is a list of different sweaters being ordered in this sales order. And before we have sent the screen content into the AI, we have told the AI behind the scene, do not allow this customer to order any sweater that has different sizes. So the size has to be all the same. And then the AI has spotted all the differences and then said, oh, we have got a problem. The order contains sweaters in multiple sizes. That is not going to work. Okay. And for some real life problems, AI does not really need to be primed. For example, this is an order, and we have ordered a Intel CPU with a motherboard that supports only AMD CPUs. So we don't have to prime this chat at all. We just feed this order entry to the AI and tell the AI what do you see? Do you see any problems? And this is natural knowledge. Not necessarily everybody have, but AI does know about it because it's just open knowledge. And then it sees the problem with the Intel CPU and with the AMD motherboard. So some questions, some problems, you don't have to even prime the AI to get its knowledge, use its capability. Okay, and lastly, how to convert natural language into the web page input. So we have built a very simple demo. So we paste the entire email onto the left, and then we let AI think. And the AI reads the email and parse it into a sales order. So pretty simple, but what's really happening is that we parse the AI we use AI to parse the natural language into a JSON. And then the JSON gets fed into the sales order form on the in this web page. So we have to tell the AI where what looks like a username, what looks like an address, what looks like where do you want to put the each sales order to. But essentially, this is what you get. Give the AI knowledge to understand your business logic, and then the AI can, and it will do it very well in converting natural language into machine understandable languages. And then the JSON can be put into the web page, and then the JSON can be whatever on the web page can be pumped into green screens very efficiently. Your user does not have to do all the repetitive key in and converting an email into a sales order. So the AI can help in these scenarios. So that's everything I have to show you today. I will hand the mic back to Richard for some question and answers.
Thank you, Simon. And well, I think hopefully you've seen through some of those examples why it's quite interesting to look at how this might introduce additional value, productivity in the end user experience and their processes. It really does open up some fascinating possibilities there. So now's a good time, actually, if you wish to ask questions, keep putting them into the Q&A here. And let's have a quick scan through what we have already. Security-related question, Simon. If the LLM runs on-premises, what security concerns remain? I'm guessing this might be a privacy kind of issue as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, of course, if you run the LLM on-prem, you have the total control, or do you? So, of course, you can apply a firewall and physically block this AI from accessing any external resources. However, you have to know what is the AI that you're running. So the AI large language model, some of them, even open source ones, they tend to collect data and send it off to the internet, back to its mother server, the first chance it gets. So certain AI behavior is there in the industry, but you just need to be aware of what kind of AI you're running. And of course, government and the government-controlled bodies, governance authorities, they usually have a list of AI that you can choose from. So just be aware of what you're running on-prem. And even if you block off the entire server from the internet, it does not mean that you're completely safe. Of course, you have to be careful about what kind of data you are using to train the AI. Are you using PII data? Are you using the data that only privileged user has access to? And then because the training data might be accessed by non-privileged user. So these are all the considerations that you have to take account. Even if you are running an on-prem AI, there might be security concerns here and there. But yeah, of course, on-prem compared to vendor controlled, you have a lot more control on your hands.
100%. 100%. Thank you, Simon. Yep. Licensing terms. Okay, I can partly answer that, but tip in, Simon. So obviously for those customers already running Rocket MX, there's no additional licensing other than the AI component itself, the AI engine itself. And Simon, you can drill into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this inclusion is free of charge. Any of the under maintenance modern experience customer, they can upgrade to the latest version, and then you can get the capability of integration right away. But if you use a vendor supplied AI, you usually have to pay for the tokens that your user consume, and you can set up allowance, you can set up policies on, give each user a limit. But if you use public AI, that is a cost to the third party, not to be paid to the Rocket. Rocket does not charge any of the integration fees. And then, but when it comes down to more users using MX, well, Rocket Modern Experience is licensed on the number of concurrent users. If a lot of users prefers the web interface, you might consume your license a little bit faster. That's all.
Indeed. All right. Thank you for that. Yes, another one here. Is there integration with Microsoft Copilot? I know you touched on this, but can you perhaps clarify?
Yeah, in the
lots
presentation,
of different flavors of Copilot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Copilot style interaction that we are building. It's not exactly Microsoft Copilot. So Microsoft Copilot, some people just think this is just an AI model. It is just some AI that Microsoft provides. But actually, no. Microsoft Copilot is an AI toolkit that integrates with your Windows environment. So Microsoft Copilot uses OpenAI, large language model. So whenever it comes down to natural language queries, Microsoft Copilot sends the query to OpenAI, just like we do. And then OpenAI will analyze the natural language and decide what to do on your computer. So we are building a very similar interaction. You can send this natural language query on your green screen to OpenAI or any OpenAI style API endpoint. And then the AI can decide what to do with your green screen data. So in that part, we are similar. And also, Microsoft Copilot can call RESTful services if it determines that a certain automation is required. For this kind of RESTful service calls, we can use Rocket API to provide the green screen-based microflow as a RESTful service. So we can integrate with Microsoft Copilot in this way, providing the access to the green screen workflows to Copilot, configure our APIs into Microsoft Copilot portfolio.
Super. Simon, I don't think we have any other questions at this time. Look at that, 11:30 on the dot. Couldn't have been better. So if after the session you do come up with questions, or you just want to contact us and have a bit of a one-on-one discussion, then there's my email. There is nice and easy. And yes, with this solution with Rocket MX, with the AI component side, yes, proof of concept is available to do on premise, just like we've done with other customers. So, but start off perhaps with, with a good discussion first in terms of what some goals may be. But I hope from this session that you've seen and begin to fire off some ideas in your heads about how this could improve the ROI when looking at modernization to the end users. There could be some really interesting processes there that can really boost people's productivity. So just remains, I think, for me to say thank you, Simon, for taking us through that and giving us some ideas.
Yeah, I will just add one more notification to our customers. If you are already a Modern Experience customer, just reach out to us. We can give you some project examples, and so that you can integrate this AI capability with basically no development work.
Indeed. No, it's a good light footprint. Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.